Hello, I'm Toycat, and is the Deep Dark in development? If so, when will we see it? Is a good question, Ianiv Mordeski, and fortunately, I have the answer for you right here, because King Bee Dogs, the developer principally working on the Deep Dark and the Warden, made a tweet talking about how C++ is a really wild language as a dominantly Java developer, and someone said in response to that, assuming he was working on Bedrock, because Bedrock is programmed in C++, that this shows the Deep Dark's ensemble will not come to Bedrock anytime soon, ... and then he responds saying, I wouldn't say that. My last 5 weeks have been me programming and implementing the Deep Dark ensemble on Bedrock. Important to note though, it doesn't mean the Deep Dark on either platform is coming anytime soon. And I kind of feel for King Bee Dogs here, who obviously as a developer of a pretty big feature in Minecraft, feels a lot of pressure to like get the thing out there and like, you know, like I understand how there's a lot of people looking at him, indeed even this video looking at what he's got to say about the Deep Dark and the Warden, and it sounds like a lot of these other changes in 1.18 are going to be coming before they can get the Warden and the Deep Dark fully working on either platform, which of course makes sure that it can work on both platforms at the same time, just like with the bundles and many other features like that. Speaking of many other features, hello, I'm Toycat, and welcome to Q&A Saturday, the weekly series where I answer your questions about things like microbiomes, because JD Minecraft asked my opinion on them. And so, as a quick rundown for those who are unaware, 1.18 has some experimental snapshots, the third of which came out this week, and these are of course working on brand new terrain generation, the biggest part of 1.18, and they're doing a pretty good job for the most part. There's some confusing features in here and there. I mean, look at this, for example, the carver going right through the middle of a clear-looking hill. It's strange, it's weird, but also this results in microbiomes, because if we look just over here, you'll see here's a mesa biome with, what is this, the tiniest bit of jungle inside of it. Or maybe you could even argue this entire mesa biome is pretty small to begin with. But yeah, the fact that these biomes have small biomes inside of them in some cases, like here is a desert as another example, it's just a part of what makes the new 1.18 generation very, very wacky. There's many other parts. Honestly, you can tell this is an experimental snapshot when you start to look at some of these things, but I love the outcomes, I love the results, I love the weirdness that you get from this, because it makes it Minecraft feel like a brand new game to explore again, because you genuinely don't know what you're gonna find. I feel like they're gonna make it a bit tamer and a bit less likely to find weird broken things like, you know, floating desert temples or, you know, trees and islands that are in midair. But I love the new terrain generation. I have to say, I like what I'm seeing right here, and I want to know what you think about it, because I like it, but obviously, you know, I'd love to hear your opinions as well, because my opinion is only mostly correct. It's not always all the way there. Just like this next question. Should I clarify that was sarcasm? I think I should clarify that was sarcasm. But yeah, it's just incredible to look through these real chasms as opposed to the fake chasms that is sarcasm. Speaking of sarcasm, I would like to give a sarcastic answer to Cesano Green, because they ask, so worlds will be 320 blocks in 1.18, why not round up by 100 and make cloud height 420 then? Would be nice and logical, and clouds would always feel high up for no reason whatsoever. And you know what, first of all, I think the concept of rounding up is a little bit silly when you say round up by 100. You'd round up to the nearest 100, right? Whatever. And the second point here is that I feel like this is the problem with almost every piece of Minecraft feedback. A lot of people do just have, you know, some people will immediately praise anything that comes out of Minecraft. Like, boo, yay! Thank God they're delaying Minecraft features I was looking forward to. Yay! Thank God they cancelled my favorite feature or deciding not to make something really important. But then you get some people that are like, yeah, well, 320 blocks is cool, but why not 420? And I have to admit, having clouds be at 420 would be objectively the best way to make clouds officially high, right? I mean, there's no disputing that. But I do feel like this is something I see a lot with feedback on things. I feel like you need to be measured and know when something is you know, like fine, and when to be critical of something. And when they're increasing the world height, you could always argue, yeah, they could increase it higher, but there are of course performance concerns, and there's a trade-off involved in everything, is what I'm saying. And speaking of trade-offs, this lovely gentleman would like to go to New York with his girlfriend, and visiting his girlfriend in New York. I guess the girlfriend is in New York already and he's going there, but he asks if I have any interesting and preferably unhealthy, unnecessarily extravagant food recommendations from my time there. So I spent 3 months in New York. If you don't know, that's why I was in America. Some people genuinely subscribed to the channel in that time, and they were confused because they thought I was an American person living in America, but that for some reason sounded very slightly British. But that is not the case, I assure you. And so yeah, there's lots of great things that I found. I really love this acai place on McDougal Street. I love pretty much every dollar pizza pizza place that I came into contact with, seriously, dollar pizza. I mean, I know you want to do actually extravagant things, but like every time you pass one, you have no excuse not to just grab yourself a slice. Zazzy's is my favorite slice, but obviously you're here for unnecessarily extravagant options, and so something I obviously got some very large pizza slices. Here's one from my Twitter. It was so big it had to come on 2 plates. However, something I didn't get to do before my time was up in the United States was go to Pizza Barn. Pizza Barn is a place that does pizza slices which are this big. And you know what? I'll admit in this picture, maybe it's just a very tiny, girl holding it. You can see they've got painted nails, so therefore we can conclude that the pizza slices there are about half the size of an adult woman in height. Maybe a little bit more, actually. Seriously, the sizes of the slices from this place, I was so excited. You do need to drive to get up there for the most part, or you can take like a subway and then 2 buses. It's a nightmare. It's quite far up in upstate, downstate New York. But the point here is that there is this amazing slice of pizza that I can't wait to come back to New York for, because I'm going to get it one day, and hopefully that day is after the driving license thing is done. Oh, look at that, me answering a question you didn't ask. By the way, things going well on that front. So speaking of questions, I have this one which comes in from TJM. There should be a reason to travel up the new mountains. I know there was that ice villager guy, but I suggested a Yeti in a cave or something. Not much can be done about it now, but what do you think? I think the mountains that are, the new mountain biome with all of the brand new generation, does have 2 very clear reasons you'd want to go there, even without having a Yeti in a cave or the iceologer, which the iceologer is confirmed becoming at some point, but that's a whole separate thing. But I do genuinely think that going up there is the best way to mine emeralds, or get emerald ore if you want to make a house out of emerald ore, which is a great project idea for 1.18, by the way. And also, the terrain itself is a reason enough to go there to make a house inside that beauty of the terrain, because here's the best bit. Then you could travel everywhere by ice boat and then just kind of fall down naturally from there. I do think there's a huge amount of potential in the new mountains, just how they are right now. I feel like there's great room to improve and expand on that, maybe personally, but you know what else I think maybe personally? This next question, which is very interesting, and comes in from my favorite person, Dubs Brown. I'm just kidding. I don't know who Dubs Brown are, but apparently according to that little red icon, they've been subscribed for at least a week, so thank you for being subscribed to the channel, and thank you for asking about the beef steak thing, because on Bedrock, cooked beef is called cooked beef, on Minecraft Java, cooked beef is called steak, and they question whether the beef steak thing is because of the Battle of Hastings, and as a fun fact, that is actually true, yes. The reason that the English language has different words for the cooked version, or the food version of each food, and the animal version of each food, besides chicken, which is a much more recent thing. But, the reason that, it's called a cow, but the meat is called beef, or then sometimes steak, is because cow is the version you'd interact with if you're a poor peasant Englishman, because after the Battle of Hastings, although most people that lived in the England, let's just say, were English still, the nobility, the rulers, were the winning French in that battle, and so there's lots of French, high-class things in the English language, and indeed in England/the UK as a whole. Even this is the UK, the Royal Coat of Arms, I think it's called. It's a crest that goes on everything. At the very bottom there, you'll see there is some French saying, "De et mon droit," which is old French even. It's not even modern French. It's very, very old, and it means God and my right, which is even more confusing when you get to it. But yeah, long story short, there is a lot of French influence in the England and the UK, but also in the English language, and that's why it's called bœuf, which is French for animal that comes from the black and white one, whereas, in, I think it's Old Norse, steak comes from, and so they have entirely different linguistic roots, and English is a very strange language that's lots of other languages wearing a trench coat, but you don't care about languages if you're watching this Q&A, I assume, and so we'll move on to the next question, because what drugs are you on? Asks 7934, and thank you for deciding to check in on my current medical regime. I used to, have some caffeine every morning, and then I realized it wasn't doing too much for me. So as of right now, there are no drugs that are in my system or have been in any, recent time frame. Sometimes I take hydroxide pyramine. I don't know what it's actually called. It's a pill that slows down your stomach and stops it breaking as much. But as far as my regular drug intake, don't you worry, 7934. And thank you for caring about my health so much. Speaking of people who care about my health, Joseph cares about the climate health, because what are your thoughts on the climate? And I've got this really bold, controversial opinion. I think the climate is good. I think that climate change is bad. Wow, can we all clap for my brave opinion right here? Ooh, Toy Cat, go! So here's the actual, thing on climate and the climate changing and like what to do about it. Because I've seen a lot of people, especially if you're in your teenage years, being hysterical and being like, well, what's the point in planning for a future when we're all gonna die anyway? And I feel like this is a really useful messaging when you're trying to enact the change to, reverse global warming. When you're trying to stop the planet heating up by as much, because by every degree the planet heats up, things get substantially worse in lots of places. But here's the deal, right? We can live in different climates. It gets substantially worse every single time, but we can live in those different climates. And even though it seems like no progress is being made, a lot of progress is being made in the Western world. I mean, sometimes it can seem hopeless when you're looking at the fact that the world's, biggest polluter in terms of carbon dioxide is actively intending to increase their emissions for quite some time and put on coal plants and stuff like that. And you can go, well, therefore everything else is kind of doomed. And I totally see that as a reason to be like, yeah, isn't it strange? Don't we feel like we should be doing something about that? And there totally is a level of like international cooperation that needs to be reached there. But a lot of people are like kind of like, yelling that in vain onto the internet, and it's like, the people that live in that country don't have the same internet that we do. And so it's an issue that seems like it has no solution, and therefore, oh god, everything's gonna end. And what's the point of even doing anything? Why am I showering today if in 10 years we're all gonna die and drown and flood and be on fire all at the same time? And again, I think the thing that makes me feel calmer about it is like, actually, it gets bad. It gets, substantially bad, but it's still just bad. There's different degrees of human survivability. I think, I would love to see the actual temperature rise you need before all humans cannot live on the planet anymore, because it is substantially higher. What it actually is there are like, there's going to be crises of people having to potentially flee their homes, or there's going to be the humanitarian issues, and it's like, well, even all of those things, they're bad. And it's like, but we have those things right now from non-climate reasons too, and it's not the end of the world thing that maybe it should be. Maybe that should be the attitude. But I feel like this is just a message to some people who their entire existence is consumed by thinking about it. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine for you. Hopefully, those you care about. And if we do a good enough job, it'll be fine for even the people that you don't directly know or don't directly care about as well. And that will be good. Will that happen? Only time and waiting will tell. But even the worst case scenario, you still have a future. It's just probably going to be a future run more by electricity rather than, having like combustion engines be inside all the major things that make the world work, which is still very confusing that we have these explosion generating machines, and it's like, the explosion makes the this happen, which that because of our weird investment into that, it's become the mainstream. But things will be different, and there will be a lot of interesting trade-offs in the future, and we'll look back at today and be like, yeah, that sure was a time, huh? But it's not. The apocalypse level events are the meteors that almost hit Earth every year, or there's the roaming black holes that we don't really know where they are, so could come and absorb us all any minute, or there's tons of great things to be worried about. Don't you worry. If worrying is your favorite thing, I have just the solution for you. And while I'm speaking about solutions, Keegan William asks, if you don't mind me asking, Mr. Toycat, where will you be streaming at? YouTube, Twitch? Just curious because I want to watch your stream. P.S. Good luck. And thank you for the smiley face and the good luck, and asking where I stream, because I do it exclusively on YouTube. I do so on this very channel that you're watching this video on, and it's really confusing trying to, tell people how they can follow them, because the best way is to subscribe with notifications turned on. Sometimes YouTube gives notifications about streams to people who aren't subscribed, but it seems fairly random. If you turn on notifications, you'll not only see each of these videos when I upload them, but also you'll see live streams like the one that's coming out in, in an hour or less than that. I don't know. There's going to be a live stream happening very, very soon. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to watch it live or you want to watch it after the fact. I know a lot of people just love casually hanging out and, draining an ocean, which is the big project we're doing. But if you want to see me doing my next big survival dumb project, then that's happening tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to my Let's Play now as a result of that, because there's this big project I've wanted to do forever that I'm finally going to get off the ground. So it's exciting for me. If today is exciting for you, then let me know with a like, favorite, subscribe, and all the other fun things, because I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.